Good morning, Jen and Tiara. How are you doing this morning?
We're doing great. Hey, Cindy.
Hey.
Yay. Well, I'm so excited to talk with my two favorite Spark and Hustlers, Tiara Destiny Reed and Coach Jen Lee. I'm Cindy Morrison, and if you hear a little noise in the background, it's because I am actually doing this phone conversation outside in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The weather is so beautiful. So we have birds chirping and kids running and playing and dogs barking. It's just because, we Spark and Hustlers get to enjoy life, and it's awesome to be outside. So, Jen, first, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how you got involved with Spark and Hustle in case people haven't met you yet?
I can't believe they haven't met me yet. Well, I am Coach Jen Lee in Orlando, Florida, and I got involved with Spark and Hustle. I'd actually been following Tory for a couple of years. I had seen her speak at the Florida Conference for Women, and I had just started my business at the time, leaving corporate America, and just fell in love immediately with her, straightforward, no nonsense, let's get it done. Here are the specific things, tips and strategies for you to use to make your business successful. And so as soon as Spark and Hustle launched, I was in, I'm on it. And it's been a game changer for my business, just personally as well as professionally. I feel like I'm making smarter decisions, and I've been able to help my clients even better. So that's how I got involved.
Awesome. And Jen is from Orlando. And then we also have Tiara Destiny Reed. And Miss Tiara, tell us a little bit about you and how you got involved in Spark and Hustle.
Well, I'm the proud owner of Stylish Consignments Boutique in Lilburn, Georgia, and now available online e-commerce. So we have global girlfriends now. And I got involved with Spark and Hustle about 2 years ago. I attended the first Spark and Hustle in Atlanta. Unlike Jen, I did not know much of Tory Johnson. I was really seeking solid connections and looking to build my business. I had been in business for a year by the time the first Spark and Hustle came to Atlanta. So I was just actively seeking solid information at the time. So it was a great fit, and I decided to attend.
Awesome. Well, and again, my name is Cindy Morrison, and how I got involved in Spark and Hustle, I've been in TV news for 20 years and found myself, they laid off a bunch of people, my contract came due, and found myself out of a job. That was about the time I met Tory through Twitter, strategically stalking her with excellence, and we became friends. I went to the first Spark and Hustle, and when Jen said it's a game changer, I used the same words, and neither of us used them lightly, because she helped me realize I'd written a women's book and had sold tons and tons of copies, more copies than even just the first month, and 97% of first-time authors ever sell. And she told me, quit writing books and start showing people how to sell product the way you did through social media. And so now I've been a social media strategist for a couple of years, and on the Spark and Hustle tour, and let me just tell you, these conferences are amazing. The content, the connections, and the credibility that you receive is just amazing, and that's why we wanted to have this call. We want to show you how, A, you can make the most out of the Spark and Hustle event that you're attending, but also, B, how you can follow along with the content and connections as we travel through the rest of our cities on this tour, and you really get the most out of it. So, Jen, I'm going to start with you. And how do you suggest that people prepare before they get to their Spark and Hustle event?
Well, I am all about the content. You are going to receive so much content when you attend a Spark and Hustle event that last year when it was 2.5 days, I said, I want to make sure I'm absorbing everything that I need to absorb and getting what I need. So the first thing I tell my clients to do is to take a strong look at your business, where it is currently and where you'd like it to be in the next 12 months. Let's just think in small chunks, 6 to 12 months, and ask yourself, where do I feel like I'm either struggling, where I maybe have some obstacles, what's not working in my business, so that you can then take that question and then pair it up with the speakers that are going to be there and the content that you're going to receive. So it's, where am I struggling? What are my concerns? Now, take a look at the speaker list, which is kind of like number 2. Take a look at the speaker list and say, what speaker is speaking on a specific topic that may help me in my business. So as an example, last year I had some time management issues. Even though I'm a business coach and I talk about time management, I was honest enough to say, gosh, I'm not even sure if I'm spending my time wisely in certain areas. And so Marley was talking all about time management. Well, just that little bit of information, because I was consciously aware of it, I was able to write the right kind of notes for myself so that I can turn them into actionable items once I got home. So it's really about being prepared ahead of time as opposed to just being shell-shocked with this fabulous information. Then you go back and say, wow, now what to do? I like to flip it around. I wanted to be prepared ahead of time. So information about your own current business, match it up with the speakers and the topics to which they are speaking on. And then I would also put together a few questions, design a few questions that you can ask the speakers. This year at Spark and Hustle, there's a lot of question and answer opportunities. We just launched in New York, and we just saw so many people raising their hands with really solid questions. So think to yourself, if I've got, a Marley in front of me, or if I've got, the Nardo Natural guys, which are going to be in Tampa, the guys that Barbara Corcoran just supported on Shark Tank, what's a question that I can ask them that's going to help me in my business specifically?
And, something interesting, Jim, because I know we had more questions even than we had time to answer, but so many of these speakers stay around, and don't be afraid to go up and ask them the question that maybe you didn't have a chance to ask during Q&A time.
Absolutely. They want to help. That's the beauty of the Spark and Hustler speakers. They want to help. They were like giddy with excitement to be around a bunch of entrepreneurs. And, all you need to do is pounce and ask. But you need to be specific. You don't want to, ask a silly question. Here's your chance in front of somebody, Barbara Corcoran, and you don't want to say, what makes you decide to wear a yellow dress? I mean, ask a good question. Come on.
Right. And that's, I think that's, you brought up a great point. One of the great things about Spark and Hustle is that the speakers are involved and invested in the event. And one thing that they do, and one reason we get great content, is because they're not saying, I have the 8 secrets to life. Here's a half of one I'm going to tell you about on the stage. But if you go back and spend another $7,000 in the back of the room, you can get the other 7.5 answers to life. Instead, Tory has a definite philosophy that you give, and you give everything from the stage. There's no selling from the stage. You get all of the information for what you paid for your ticket for $77. So I think that's important. Jen, what else is valuable to attend? Why is it valuable to attend more than one Spark and Hustle? Because I know, you and Tiara are attending multiple. We might as well just, have a big old bus and travel bus and go because it is valuable to attend even more than one.
And it's not unusual for people to attend more than one. And I think it's because each speaker brings something different to the table. So it could be, like I went to New York because I wanted to hear from the big ones. I wanted to hear from Barbara Corcoran and Barbara Bradley and Laura Geller. I really wanted to hear for those that, just superstars, mega superstars. And then I'm going to go to, Atlanta because I want to hear from, inventors. I want to go to D.C. for different reasons. I want to hear different stories and different takes, even if it's on the same subject, because I might connect more with one versus the other. And I know Tiara is getting ready to talk about connection. And let me tell you, this is where my business really started to boom, was because it's not just the speakers, it's the people in the room as well. So if you can afford to do it, grab several gal pals. We had a lot of girls from Orlando drive to Atlanta. We just carpooled together, shared rooms, split the cost, and made it happen. And it's a game changer. Can't not say enough about it.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
And, it's really easy to find out who the speakers are because you go to the events page, you go to sparkandhustle.com, click on the events, and just go through the different cities and look at who the speakers are. I mean, it's certainly not brain surgery to figure out who's in what city and what may benefit your business. It really is simple, point and click.
Right. I agree.
Exactly. And I really, I looked at my budget this year and said, where am I going to get the biggest bang for my buck from a marketing perspective? And it's attending Spark and Hustle events. So for me, this is where I'm spending my marketing and advertising dollars this year.
And, I wanted to add that, I was just going to jump in and add that for me, knowing that I wanted to really grow my e-commerce business, because so many people have home-based businesses or web-based businesses That is an easy way to get solid connections in a new territory. So it was just truly a no-brainer, Cindy.
Oh, that's awesome. And think of how much we spend on, or at least we should be spending on training and marketing and real networking, not just, paying some money to go to a breakfast, but I mean, really, moving with those movers and shakers. And, we need to be investing in our business and in those areas, and Spark and Hustle is a great way. And Terry, I want to talk to you about those contacts. We talked about the content that you get, but I know for you, the connections, how valuable were the connections that you've made through Spark and Hustle and are valuable, and what advice do you have for attendees?
Well, Cindy, the connections are priceless. Spark and Hustle basically allowed me to meet with serious women who are willing to invest in themselves and their business. Specifically at the beginning, when you're just getting started, it is hard to build a network outside of your family and friends. And Spark and Hustle was just full of women who were actively building their companies. And, for me, I think it's just best for attendees to prepare. I think if they take the time, as Jen touched on, to research who the speakers will be in each city, but also you can take it a step further and look at the social media conversations that are going on to see who else is preparing to attend in that city and where are they in their business and how could this potentially be a good fit for both of us, so you can start to make those connections before you get to the event. And in that preparation, they can highlight a few key people that they know they want to meet with so they can maximize their time, since they'll be amongst hundreds of women.
Yeah, there's no reason to walk into a Spark and Hustle and feel like you're making a cold call. I mean, you can actually begin to make those connections before you ever even walk in the room, which, even for the shyest person is, I think, a big relief that, you can walk in and already have some friends initially.
Exactly. And, when you do that, you can just simply make a wish list of complementary partners or opportunities that you are seeking, because you will meet someone that you didn't know was going to be there. I can guarantee it. And if you know who is a good fit or who you could possibly partner with based off those traits or the target market, then you set yourself up to win.
When you walk into the event, and all of us have been to an event where we just walked out with a bunch of business cards and no business, no connections, no contacts, nothing. How do you ensure solid connections at Spark and Hustle once you're there?
Now, I will say that this is probably the one event where I can almost guarantee that 100% of the people who have attended, I will go as far as to say that I believe they're still connected with somebody. I don't think there's any way you can attend a Spark and Hustle and not be connected in some way, shape, or fashion to someone else that's there, because you both took the time to invest in something that you both saw as solid. But for those who are coming for the first time, I would say that active listening is key. Listening for keywords that allow you to authentically support the other person's efforts. And I will say, do not force a connection. If you can help or if it's a good fit, great. But if it's not, I suggest that they exchange information anyway in case they meet someone else that is a perfect fit, because it's a small world. We all know that. But once you do find someone who seems to be a strong collaborative partner, the one thing that I would like to suggest is that you be clear, straightforward, and pounce, as Jen touched on earlier. Go ahead and ask. Lay the idea out there in a concise way, and go ahead and set up a day and time to follow up.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. And, just looking at the connections, you look at Tara and I met at the very first Spark and Hustle in Atlanta in 2010. Jen and I had actually met before, but really connected at the Tampa Spark and Hustle last year. So, these are best business friends, not just, best friends forever, but those best business friends, BBFs, that can really help propel you. And even when you're down, you can talk to, and they'll help give you some suggestions. Tara, what examples, what is at least one example you can give, because I know you have many, of how your connections have had a direct impact on your bottom line?
The best example I can think of is that immediately following Spark and Hustle, within 2 to 3 months, I had my anniversary event coming up for my boutique. And because, like I said, I was within that first year, and we decided the theme would be Success is Sweet. Well, I strategically reached out to all of the dessert vendors that I had met or people who were just getting started in their businesses, and I thought that when I taste their product or research their brand that they were just a great fit. And I decided, to create a win-win opportunity. How can they showcase and get more exposure for their brand? And how can I provide a new, fun, interactive experience for my shoppers? So it was a win-win, and it definitely had a huge impact on my bottom line and those who won the customers' vote. So I'd say that is probably the best example because we pounced right away after the first Spark and Hustle event.
Oh, that's awesome. And Jen, I want to sort of come full circle with you too. What content do you think? What's one example of where the content that you got at Spark and Hustle really affected your bottom line?
Well, prior to attending, I recognized that social media was something that I needed some help with. And so to Cindy's credit, I looked at her bio knowing that you were going to be a speaker, and I checked out the website ahead of time, watched every video that you ever posted, read all of your
God
blogs.
Bless you.
I know, baby. And I started implementing before Spark and Hustle so that when I got there, and I'm sure Cindy remembers this, I cornered her. I'm like, girlfriend, I still need help with this, and I was able to have a specific question. And so from that, I was able to take my friends at that point, because I didn't even have a business page, I was able to take my friend count from I was maybe at 800, and now I'm almost at 2,900, and then started my business page as well. Back then it was called a business page, and I've got over 1,000 connections there and Twitter. So, and then, of course, I get business from Facebook. That's where a good portion of my people, the people that are working with me, hang out. And so that was really critical for me to jump right on that. And because I'd done my research ahead of time, I already had kind of a jump start, and it's made a huge impact. To speak to Tiara's, I actually did a video about this. I actually increased my bottom line by $11,000 within 5 weeks of going to the very first Spark and Hustle because of the things that I implemented
how have
right
I
away.
never heard you say that? I want to hear you say that again, because Jen, you hadn't even told me that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I increased my business by $11,000. There's a video out there. Y'all go to YouTube, Spark and Hustle, Jen.
Wow.
The Proof, it's called. Yeah, it was $11,000. Increased my business by 32% by the end of the year. All the new connections via social media. Very specific. We've all been quoted in national magazines now, and I've been interviewed more often because I understood the PR skills. But again, it all came from being prepared ahead of time, making those solid connections like Tiara is talking about. It's not magic, and it's not that hard. I think that's probably one of the things. You just have to be prepared and pounce. Have your calendar ready and schedule that appointment. That's what I did. When I saw somebody and they said, I'm interested in maybe coaching with you, Jen, I said, great, pull out your calendar. Let's make our first phone call set up right now.
Right.
And you're exactly right. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's not brain surgery. It's not magic. It really is. The fact is, in business, you don't know what you don't know. Right. And for me, Spark and Hustle, really made me well-rounded in my business of the stuff that I just didn't know. And to learn that was extremely powerful for my business. And Jen, I'm so glad you brought up social media, because that's what I want to talk about here. We talked about how important the content is that you're going to get at Spark and Hustle and the connections that you're going to make. So let's talk about credibility / social media. I have to say, the more that I make connections and learn this content and share this with my, I have almost 35,000 followers through all my social media outlets, my newsletter and YouTube and all that. And, it really does help lend credibility when you're able to say, hey, I learned this and I'm willing to share it with you. So that's one thing that I think can help you when you go to Spark and Hustle is if you use your Facebook, you use your Twitter and your LinkedIn to share the great information and give away something valuable for free, not expect anything in return. I think you will begin to see your numbers in social media begin to build, don't concentrate so much on the numbers. It really is about the quality, not the quantity. In other words, somebody who has 5,000 fans on their Facebook page and none of them are their target market are really missing the boat, as opposed to somebody who has 50 or 100 targeted followers who they're doing business with. So that's my first thing. When you're at Spark and Hustle, really use that time to help share valuable information with others, and it'll really sort of open up that idea of how you can begin to give things of value from your own business and build that tribe, build those loyal followers, those raving fans. The next thing I would suggest is to follow the Spark and Hustle hashtag. And what that is it's the # Spark and written out Hustle, and that's all one word. And if you follow that, you'll begin to see so many powerful women, whether they're just starting their business, whether they're, billionaires like, Barbara from Shark Tank that we saw in New York City. You can begin to follow their information and learn more about the content, get more connections. And let's say you're not on Twitter and you're thinking, Cindy, I am never going to do that because I'm not on Twitter. I don't understand it. You know what? That's okay, because we're going to talk about Twitter at Spark and Hustle and make you more comfortable. But what you can do is go to search.twitter.com. Again, that's search.twitter.com. Put in the #, write out all one word, Spark and Hustle, and just look at the tweets that people have put out. Make a note of some of those people that you want to try to find on Facebook or find through LinkedIn. Look for them on YouTube. Figure out ways maybe that you can make a connection with them. And remember, the most valuable connections I like to talk about are strategically stalking with excellence, which is how I met Tory. I never tweeted Tory and said, I want you to put me on Good Morning America. Instead, she was someone I wanted to make a connection with, and I treated it like a cocktail party where I was able to give her story ideas or a follow-up to the story she did, or compliment something that she'd said, or, share her information with my followers. And finally, she looked up and said, okay, who is this chick in Oklahoma? And, we need to make a connection. So, don't think that people are just talking about their coffee makers or talking about, boring stuff on social media. You can get valuable information. You can make valuable contacts. And through Spark and Hustle, you're going to find a lot of like-minded people. So keep that in mind. And then the final thing I want to say to you is watch Tory's Facebook, which is facebook.com/Tory. Most all of us are on Facebook, even if we don't have a professional page, which we'll talk to you about that at Spark and Hustle. But even if you have a personal page, follow Tory. Also follow me. I'll be at all 20 cities, facebook.com/Cindy W. Morrison. And we're always posting people who are there, the advice that Liz Lang and, Barbara Corcoran and all these different people are giving. We're constantly posting that during each Spark and Hustle, so you can begin to get that content and make a note. Start a Spark and Hustle notebook. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be high tech. I'm big on mind mapping on my iPhone and my Mac, but it doesn't even have to be that elaborate. Just grab yourself a dedicated notebook and write down the different advice that speakers give and see how you can apply that to your own life. So you're even better prepared when you come to Spark and Hustle because you've already started learning things. So those are just a few ways through social media that you can begin to build your own credibility, start gaining contacts right now from Spark and Hustle, even before your city's event, and how to get that great content before you sit your bottom in that chair and listen to Tory and all the other speakers. Before we wrap up, I just would love for Tiara and Jen, if you guys could give your website, your Facebook, your Twitter, just so anybody listening can connect with us. And we are more than happy to take your questions. If you want advice, anything, we will help you. So, Jen, let's start with you.
Okay, great. Yes, my website is CoachJenLee.com, and that's Jen with 2 N's and Lee with 2 E's. And you can find me on Twitter at Coach Jen Lee, same thing. And then on Facebook, somebody had taken Coach Jen Lee, so I had to go with your Coach Jen Lee on Facebook, or you can just Facebook friend request me as well. But if you go to my website, CoachJenLee.com, it'll have all the links to you there. And just as Cindy said, feel free to reach out ahead of time and ask questions. Send me a Facebook message or an email, or even call me. I'm happy to help. I'm so jazzed about every entrepreneur out there in the United States, getting America back on track. And Spark and Hustle is just the best use of your time and energy and money, for sure.
And Jen, I know we're rooming in a bunch of the cities together. Tell people what cities you'll be in.
Well, I keep adding to them because they're so darn good. But I'm going to be in D.C. Seriously, I'm going to be in D.C. on June the 5th. I'm going to Atlanta in Tiara's backyard. I'm a host and stage speaker in Tampa, and then I'm also going to Boston in August. But I'm thinking I just might have to make it out to Chicago in July because I just love Chicago. So yeah, just be on the lookout. I post all the time where I'm going to be.
You forgot one important city that you need to come to. Hello.
Tulsa, baby, Tulsa. Ooh, I think
exactly.
I've been offered a free place to stay. Good, I'm going
exactly.
to Tulsa.
I've guest bedroom all ready for you. And Tiara wanted to give us your information and let us know what cities you're going to be in.
Okay, well, my information, the best way to get in contact with me would be by email. My direct email is tdr@tiaradestinyread.com, but I would love for everyone to visit stylishconsignments.com, and we are trying to grow our global girlfriend, so just get connected in that way. I am on Twitter and Facebook. Both are Tiara Destiny. I'm easy to find. And again, email is the best way to reach out to me directly with any questions that you have. I'll do everything that I can to support or point you in the right direction. And right now, I am 100% confirmed for Atlanta. I have some other things on the radar. So if they follow me on social media, they will be announced as they're confirmed because I am looking to possibly pop up in one or two other places. So
awesome.
I'm
you were just
really excited. Yes.
That's awesome. Well, I will be in all 20 cities, 19 now that we've finished up New York City. So please, if you have any Spark and Hustle questions, if you have any social media questions, you have to pay me outside of Spark and Hustle to talk about social media. So for $77, you can come, to Spark and Hustle, get all this information, and pick my brain for free. It is the only time that I give people permission to do that. So let me give you all my information. My website is cindywmorrison.com. That's CINDY. On Twitter, @CindyWMorrison. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/ what do you think it might be? Cindy W. Morrison. Also Cindy W. Morrison on LinkedIn. So I look forward to connecting with you. And let's just wrap up with just a thought from each of you. If you were going to give a sales pitch, these folks that are listening are already registered, but for them to bring their friends, what advice do you have to really help expand this, since Tory does no advertising? How do we get folks out there to be our ambassadors and let even more people know about the great information from Spark and Hustle? Tiara?
I would suggest that the ladies who are coming encourage those who may be, less decisive, unsure. You have to push beyond your comfort zone. You have to think about where you're headed, where you're wanting to grow your business, the direction that you're wanting to move in. And if everything feels comfortable for you, if everything's familiar, then you may want to rethink that and step outside the box. I think Tory has done an amazing job at bringing together phenomenal speakers, phenomenal attendees, and it's just a no-brainer. Share it, spread the word. But for me, I've been very specific in reaching out to people who I know needed the information and could benefit. So think of those 3-5 women that you could make a difference in their business, and reach out.
That's awesome. Jen, what's your advice?
Well, right off of what Tiara is saying, try to pick. I personally chose about 25 people that I made personal phone calls to. And for me, I said to them, look, I'm going to be mad at myself if I don't push you. because last year I did not push enough people, and then they were bummed. They were like, man, why didn't you ask me one more time, So I felt like, what, this is my personal responsibility to make sure that I'm doing what's best for you as a colleague that I have here in my community. I'm going to call you. I'm going to push you. I'm going to find out why you think you don't want to go, because there's got to be a reason why you're saying no. I want to know what that is so that I can overcome it. And I think really just being very genuine and authentic with, a select few of people. So if each of you had 3 or 5 people, as Tiara said, that you think would really benefit from this, push them. Do your best and tell them it's because you care for them, that you're kind of like pushing them, really. How else do I say it? Just do it, people. $77 one day. I can't believe everything you get.
Well, I know y'all are probably hearing the beautiful bells in the background here. It sounds like I'm at church, but I am actually out in a park recording this call today. The advice I would have, I convinced Tory to come to Tulsa when she had never been to Oklahoma. When she named her national tour, I said, you're coming to Tulsa? And she said, no, I'm not. And I said, yes, you are. And when she named it off, Tulsa was on the list. So I needed to fill 200 seats. I wanted to make sure that Tulsa was the first one that sold out, and it did. And really it was calling people that I would love to have as clients and inviting them, calling people that I've been clients of and said, hey, I think this might fit your business because they're going to cover X, Y, and Z. Asking friends of friends, as you guys have suggested. And a lot of times it's just a personal phone call or a personal email. Posting it on Facebook and Twitter is nice to help raise awareness, but it's usually that personal touch that makes the difference. Mm-hmm. But I sing the praises of Spark and Hustle because it has totally changed my life. I went from making no money after my layoff when I met Tory to fully replacing my anchor salary. So, and spending more time with my children and being able to travel and the benefits I've learned of owning your own business. I don't know that I could ever work for anyone again. What about you, girl? Well, Tiara and Jen. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say entrepreneurship for me is just a no-brainer. I think Jen touched on something earlier. She said it's not as hard to implement what you learn, but I would say that being an entrepreneur, it does take learning how to become well-rounded and surround yourself with people who have different skill sets than you. And you really can change your way of life and your way of thinking. And I just think the freedom and flexibility that comes along with it supersedes the hard work, and it supersedes the low points. What you have to do is get connected to solid people. And Spark and Hustle was much higher investment the last 2 years, and I still made the sacrifice. At $77, it really shouldn't take a whole lot of pushing and pulling. It's a no-brainer. I think this is truly a give back, and I stand behind it. It's really been great for anybody who can show up, put their money in there, and just show up,
The content, the connections. It's just the credibility that you're gonna get from these events. I think, like you said, it truly is a no-brainer. So we look forward to seeing all of you at Spark and Hustle. Hopefully this call has helped you realize that you can expand not just through one event, but maybe attend more and definitely get the connections and the content from all of the cities. So thank you so much for joining us and taking your time to listen. We hope we've helped you. And please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to even call any of us. So thank you and have a great day. Bye, girls.
Bye.
Bye.